In this video, I'm going to be talking about how to manage your synths, how to use a synth, how to use patches effectively in your synth, how to make a template in FL Studio with BRSO Articulate. And I will also teach you what orchestral instruments to buy if you are using orchestral instruments in your tracks. But to show you the power of a template, I have to show you a quick song I made in an hour and 30 minutes. Alright, that was a short little, just 30-second long stinger I made for static. I think it's gonna go in the game in the industrial sector, which is part of the game map. It's a chapter you'll go through. Bit of spoilers, it might be cut, might not be, it might make it into the game. I don't know. You never know with development, but that's a side tangent. So here I have my template fully working. So first I'm going to go through synths so no one gets bored. Now I'll go through my synths that I have. I have Serum right here. Serum is a synthesizer, very popular. It's in fact probably one of the most popular synthesizers of all time, at least digital ones. Now, I'm not big into synths, but I do like how Serum sounds. I'm not like a synth wizard. It sounds good. It's a good synth engine. You get 2 oscillators, 1 sub, a noise filter, some effects that sound pretty good. Tons of macros, tons of mods, chaos on the matrix. There's a chaos that you can do. It's a very powerful synthesizer, and it can make sounds like this. Pretty beautiful. This is just presets I have. This is one I made. So, I also have Vital, completely free synthesizer as opposed to Serum. It has 3 oscillators instead of 2. It has noise, it has 2 filters, it has 3 envelopes, 4 LFOs, it has 2 randomizers, it has the same macros, it has the matrix, it has effects that are all pretty much the same. It has a lot of free preset packs online that you can find from various sources. I have a pack by Mentona Audio, completely free. You get some really cool sounds, some pulses, some very cinematic sounds. Pads. Pretty cool. Some percussion even, which is interesting. Some string sounds, some synthetic ones. Pretty synthy sounding. I like it. That's Vital. Hive. Great one. It can do retro, in my opinion. It does retro really well. I have a lot of presets here for it. I just got a lot. You know, it has a lot of potential. And one patch I really like, Rompler keys. Pretty awesome, pretty retro. Hive 2, very good synthesizer. I would recommend getting it. It's a bit different from how most other synths work. It's got a pretty unique interface. It has sequencing, it has the XY macro grid, or it has wavetables, it has effects, it has scope, it has 2 oscillators, 2 subs, 2 filters, a lot of usability. It's a very good synthesizer. Now on to how to use a synth. So because Vital is free, I'm going to be showing you how to use a synth with Vital. Most of it's just playing around, but what I like to do to get started is load up a sine wave. So here we have a sine wave, it's a built-in one. And then I put some unison on it with a detune of about 12 or 11. Then you can add another oscillator. 8 voices for this one. I'll go 12. And then change the level. And I'll change it into a pluck. Now you may already get how this works. This is ADSR, attack, so how long the note takes to go in. You can hear that. For plucks you want really short attack time. But not too short, or else you'll hear a click. Like this. Like that. You don't want that. It sounds harsh, it doesn't sound good. Like that. Smooth. And then decay, you can hear it. Slowly fades out. Release. And you can see it on the graph. That's a pretty cool sound in my opinion. I'll also add white noise because it sounds cool and it gives a bit of texture to a synth sound. Very subtle, just nice. Then we have our filters. And by the way, just a quick rundown. Each one of these turns on an oscillator. So that's how you turn things on. Everything will be on envelope 1 by default. So you don't have to worry about that. Filter 1, you can choose right here. And you get a nice filter. The best way to learn a synth is either looking at the documentation or a guide online, or just playing with it yourself. Now for some effects. Pretty good. Now, reverb. Just turn it on. Turn up the mix. You'll be able to hear what the reverb is doing. Basically, it's just adding room to it. It's adding the room echo to it. Reverberations. That's why it's called a reverb. Now you can add cutoff filter. Can add delay. I don't like that. You can change the size, so how big the room is. And the time, how long the reverb will ring out for. Pretty cool sound. I'll tone it down a bit though. That's a cool synth sound. Yep. Now, that's how you use a synthesizer in the most basic level. You can always apply macros, which you can link to other things by just dragging them on like this. Now let's say we want to control this, the mix on the filter. So this macro, we can automate the macro in DAW, so we can assign it to MIDI. We can go like this, adjust that, FL Studio picks it up, and then you can create an automation clip so you can change it over time. So this would be 0 mix, and then this would be full mix. That's how the macros work in the most basic level. Now, that's how a synthesizer works. That's how you set it up. Installing VST plugins is very easy. You can look it up online. I recommend always using non-stock plugins, except if it's just like an EQ or something basic, like a reverb. Those are fine, but a stock synth, I would recommend downloading a third-party synth such as Vital and putting it into your tracks, because it will level up your production quality tenfold just using third-party stuff that isn't only stock. I know it's enticing to use stock because FL Studio has a lot of stock plugins. You can also use FL Cloud plugins which install automatically, such as the Model D. It's a very good piano plugin for what you pay, which is nothing. You pay nothing if you own FL Studio. It comes free with the FL Cloud. So I would recommend this as a good first piano sound. Now let's talk about how to set up a template. So when dealing with orchestral instruments, I'll go over this quickly because not many people are going to be using orchestral instruments for BONELAB unless you're trying to make a Mind Dive type song. So something I would recommend if you don't want to spend any money is the BBC Symphony Orchestra Discover. Completely free. The Discover edition is completely free. So you can just type that into Google, download the plugin from Spitfire Audio, and you're off. It's a really good plugin, really good start. It's how I got started with orchestral stuff and mixing it into my songs. So, very good. Now, if you want a budget orchestral library, I would go for Nucleus Lite. It's the light edition of Nucleus, as you could infer from the title of the sample library. You need Contact Player, which is completely free. Contact Player is free. Contact Non-Player, the full version, is not free. But if you do buy Contact, it does give you more access to freebies, and certain libraries aren't built for Contact Player. Now, all the libraries that I have are built for Contact Player or Opus, which are both free, technically. Opus is made for the Hollywood Orchestra, therefore you don't really have to pay for it. It comes with your purchase. Nucleus Lite. It has full string sections, full woodwinds, full brass, full percussion, full choir. It's a very good library. Once you hear the strings, you'll be actually pretty blown away. The brass is good. It sounds like a professional orchestral library. It is based on a professional recording. The strings are probably my favorite because they just sound good. And they have spiccatos. So you can hear that. It has 2 mixes, classic and modern mix. Now, the limitation of Nucleus Lite is it only has 2 articulations for each patch, and it doesn't have split sections. So each patch is a full ensemble patch. There is no splitting up strings. There's only full ensemble patches, and there's only 2 articulations on each. Sustained and spiccato or staccatissimo. Now, there's performance patches and sound design, so that's a little bonus thing in there. So that's Nucleus Lite. It's a pretty good sample library. And Nucleus is way better. It comes with full split sections, as you can see here. 16 violins, 10 violas, 6 celli, 4 double basses, and then some mixed patches, and an ensemble patch. It also has soloists, so I would recommend Nucleus if you're going full-on orchestral. If you want really budget, then I would go for East West Composer Cloud, which is a subscription that gives you access to every single instrument produced by East West. So you get the full Hollywood Orchestra, including their Fantasy series, Hollywood Strings 2, you get everything. You get everything they've ever made. And that's a quick rundown on orchestral instruments. Now, setting them up with BRSO, Articulate, there is tutorials on. but I will give a quick rundown if you want to set them up. So let's say I want to set up one of these strings for array light, which is my string library of choice. So I just load up BRSO articulate, put it down here. When you go into contact to sync it up, you will throw down, let's say we want the array light 16 violins key switch patch. So it needs to be a key switch patch or else BRSO won't work as intended. So let's just throw it down. I already have it in here, so it will start off in this mode, Omni, on the MIDI channel, right here. Now what you do, port A, 1, switch it to 1. You go up each time, and then, in this page, set the input port here. So there's a port and there's a channel. The MIDI channel is 1 for this one, and the port is 1 as well. So you just sync that up inside of BRSO articulate. So we see port 1, channel 1. Should go through now. Look at that. It goes straight through. Now, how do we manage our articulations? Well, it's easy. You just go into contact and see what the key switches are assigned to. So these are assigned to C-1. Okay, so we just type this in, legato. And then we do the next one, which is sustain. Alright, so we have our legato and sustain. We might want to change the icon here. So now we have a pizzicato. So pizzicato, we go in here. Name it pizzicato. And then find the key switch, which should be D-1. And then you do that so on and so forth. So let's test. This should work. Alright, so we have our legatos here. So that's our legato. We can tell because we can't play 2 notes at once and they'll shift. So now, let's go into our sustain patch. So we've clicked onto sustain. We can tell it's a sustain by doing this. You can play chords with a sustain. You can't with legato. Now, pizzicato. Loading that up. We hear it. That's a pizzicato. And then you do the rest for the other articulations, and then you'll have something that looks like this. So you have all these articulations. You'll have legato, sustain, pizzicato, spiccato, staccato, and tremolo, which are the ones I have set up. And then you can start making stuff that sounds like this. This is just the violins. And you basically do that for every single patch. It will take a while, but you'll eventually come out with a template like this, where you have everything hooked up and ready to go. To recap, so that was how to create a template with BRSO, learning synths, and at a very basic level, this will get you started with your templates. You can load up mixer tracks. And if you want to assign mixer tracks on here, you just go to the outputs. You go on here, create separate master output channel. You'll assign each one of these, which will show here to, so you'll just go up each one of these. So 1 is the left channel for the left side of your mixer track. 2 is the right channel. 2 is the right channel, and that is your right ear. So you need to set both these up, especially when working with orchestral instruments, because you can't have them in mono or else they won't sound good. And that's how you do it. That's how you route everything up. In the next video, I will be showing you how to develop your chord progressions into a song and making them into parts, different sections of the song. It's going to be a longer tutorial because I'm going to do it for each section of the song. And I'll show some tips for different ways you can structure your song. But until next time, join the void.